Alright, getting back at it into the series, we're going to go through water purification and carrying systems, as well as first aid and utilities repair possibles kind of pouch. So first off, let's start with the water side of things, as it's super important. I carry the MSR Guardian water pump. It's a very, very reliable piece of kit, as it should be. I believe that water purification is incredibly convenient, and you don't want to be using a water purifier that isn't necessarily up to the environment that you're in. So I got a water pump that is going to withstand pretty much any location that I'm in. Very highly rated, and I believe it's actually military, meets military requirements. So it's going to filter out pretty much anything I'm going to come across. I've used this for 2 years now. It's pumped me lots and lots of water. I've never gotten sick at all, although most of the time I'm in places where the water is probably clean enough that I could just drink it, but I never risk it. I never want to take that chance. Giardia won't necessarily kill you, but it is hardcore and something I don't want to experience. So I carry a water purifier that I can trust and rely upon. I run maintenance on it and clean it appropriately, and I test it often to make sure that it is still purifying my water. Very good company MSR is. This is, like I said, their most extreme water filter, and probably the best one I could find on the internet, and well, rather, certainly the best one I could find on the internet and through my research. There may be something a little bit better out there, but I feel like this is more than what I would need generally. Yeah, very good. It can filter 10,000 liters of water, which at my rate equates to something roughly around 10 years, which is awesome. That's great. I imagine I may replace the water filter, after 5, let's say, just because, well, that would feel weird to not replace a filter for 5 years. But, I can always run a test and see if it's working or not, and I'm sure that it will be. It's a very robust piece of kit. One downside, though, I would say, I need to adjust the float system of the feed, or rather the gathering side of this filter. Dog hair everywhere. It's supposed to sit like this, nice and flat in the water. You can't really see that because I'm wearing black. So big fat float here. It's supposed to sit like a little boat with a rudder or the motor down, and it doesn't. It usually rolls onto its side, and it still filters, or rather pulls in plenty of water for me to use the system. I feel like it maybe pulls in a little bit too much air though, which I'm not a huge fan of. So I am going to look at a way to either cut this down and straighten out my pre-filter, or in some other fashion create a smaller float at the head and a straight down system, so it'll sit in the water nice and totally submerged. As I believe that's that's just how it should be. Maybe it's a design flaw, maybe it's because I keep it wrapped up pretty tight, but it always wants to kind of pull in, and it turns on its side when it does that. Not a big deal. Like I said, it works just fine. These are the instructions for testing and the notes for general maintenance and times. I know how to test it, and I know the maintenance on it, but it's good to have just in case you don't feel confident with that, and you want to make sure that you're testing it appropriately, because if you test it inappropriately and you believe that it's safe and it's not, you could end up having a very bad time. And we're not interested in having bad times, we're interested in having good times. So yeah, I keep that on there. I'm looking at a different way to carry it. It's on Right in the Rain paper right now. It comes with the carrying case. It's just very floppy, just something to keep it in, and it has a vinyl printed instruction on how to maintain this. I've thought about taping it to the outside of this or gluing it to the outside of the pump, but I'm afraid that it'll wear over time, so for now we're running that. But something to think about if you have something like this, just a lighter weight, kind of less things in your bag way to keep the information on the pump. How I carry water is in a CamelBak bag. This is the Antidote. I recently upgraded it to the mil-spec version, which is just a little bit more robust. The seams on the side, visually comparing it to my old Antidote, are a little thicker, and the plastic itself, or rather whatever the fab or the material they use for the bag, it feels to be a little bit thicker, and it's got a bit of a textured surface to it. Otherwise, it's the same as my Antidote bag. It works great. It did come, however, with this insulated hose. And I'm not crazy for the insulated hose, but I think it might keep the sun off of it as it's hanging on my side, and I won't get that shot of hot water before I get the cooler stuff behind it. But really, if you're backpacking for a long time, 3 liters of water is going to warm up, and that's just how you have to drink it. It's fine. You get used to it. It's not a big deal. Yeah, cool though. They have a little bit different system here. You can have a quick release to change out your mouthpieces and stuff. I don't know. I'm so sold on that. I do like their lock system. It's a little bit more user-friendly than the L-Bite that they had, and you had the little twist lock at the top. I like this a little bit better. But yeah, all in all, great system. And how I operate these two together is on the bottom of the water filter, there is a little knob, and you can, and I think with this, like I said, this is new to me, and I just tested it out just to make sure that it is something that's going to work. You kind of pinch this guy open and put him over, and they had enough strength that it held there pretty well. I used to pull off the entire plastic part and slip that hose over this knob, but this hose in particular seems to be fairly resistant to letting go of that the lock / quick release item there. So we're going to try that out. If it doesn't work, I'll just throw on my other Antidote hose that pops off at the hose much easier, because that's just a system that's worked for me for a while. But I definitely am a big fan of the water bladder. I can carry 3 liters just like that, all in one place. I don't have to have multiple bottles, which some people prefer, and that's fine. My uncle runs a bag system that works very well for him, although it's just a little bit more of a hassle as far as he's got to pump into his Nalgene, which is very similar to this, and then he pours it into his bags, and he does that for 3 quart bags, and then fills up his Nalgene for a total of 1 gallon, which is great, but the carrying system for that's a little bit wonky. I think this goes in a day bag that goes in the side of my pack. The hose runs out, and the biggest benefit that I have is I have water on the trail right here, and I'm just drinking all day, constantly. On a good 10-miler, I'll drink 2 liters, no problem, and I'm staying nice and hydrated, and that'll do you wonders for as far as endurance, general enjoyability, and personal health. Yeah, it's just good to stay hydrated. When my dogs are tired or they need water on the trail, it's been a little while since we've been near a creek, I can gravity feed water to them, and they're a huge fans of that. As well as another feature I really like is I can hang this on my tarp line, and I just have a gravity fed water bag right next to me, so I'm filling up my teacup, I'm filling up my oatmeal, I'm filling up the rice for dinner. It's just right there. It's like a little sink, and I'm a big fan for that reason. That almost does it alone, let alone the fact that I can drink whenever I want on the trail. It's great. These bags are super durable. I've never had a problem, never gotten a hole in any of my other ones. I watched a guy do a review on them. He reviewed I believe it was Osprey, does a similar bag setup. It's woven. And he was throwing rocks on them, he was dropping them, he was kicking embers onto them. I don't think he was doing a ferro rod. I feel like that would definitely burn through that, but he was definitely putting like embers on them from the fire. And you know, they of course got holes eventually, but it was surprising how well the CamelBak held up to especially rocks. I mean, he was throwing rocks on top of the thing with water in it, and it held up very well. I don't imagine that my CamelBak is going to get any kind of abuse near that, but it's nice to know that it is very robust. And now that I'm up to the mill strength bag, I feel like it should definitely be robust enough to handle something heavy, although I don't foresee it. But we always plan for things that we don't foresee just because they can happen. Yeah, and for long stretches between 3 liters, that's a good amount of water. It would be nice to be able to carry a gallon, as that's a full day's worth of water for me. But like I said, 3 liters, that's plenty. This is a day bag that I got from my sister. Her and her girlfriend go on Questable trips a lot, and they give you bags from Cotopaxi there for your general Questabling, which sounds like a lot of fun. I've never been on one yet, but yeah. It's an 18 liter. It's plenty big enough. It's too big, really. It does have a little water bladder flap in there for this exact reason. And then I put my water purifier and my utility bag in standing up, and it holds it very well. And I take the whole thing and put it into a side of my pack next to my bear can. And that system has worked out very well for me. It's very comfortable, and when I'm ready to go, I can, on a day hike, I throw this on, and I still have my full water capacity with me, still got the hose and all that. That's the main reason that I switched over to the day pack, because I couldn't carry this water system on a day run, a day hike situation, day runabout, I guess I was going to say, but a day situation. I couldn't really carry that water bladder with me very conveniently. I could use my dump pouch, but then my dump pouch is compromised, and I can use this H2O pouch, if you will. It has a little flap here for hoses, so I can stuff the bag in there with some water. I probably couldn't get a full even 32 ounces with how much room the bag's taking up, plus the lid is going to cause me problems. But I could carry it with this, but then I have to get rid of all of this stuff, and that kind of defeats the purpose. So, day pack, didn't add anything. Like I said, I'll think about something a little smaller because it is a little bit big. But yeah, that's just for the future, and you live and you learn, and we keep moving forward. So, other options. My uncle, like I said, carries his 32 ouncer. I can carry my steel Nalgene in this pouch. If I am going to not be as mobile, that's an option, because now I can boil a good amount of water, and as it cools, put it into my bladder, as well as have then another 38 ounces that I can carry. Plus, this works as I can even cook dinner in this thing, wide mouth. It would be kind of a pain in the ass, but it's an option. It's a good option, especially, like I said, if I'm not being as mobile. Say I'm kind of staying at like a little base camp, or I'm going to stay here and practice some skills for a day or two, I could just boil water and it'd be fine, just not as convenient as my water filter, but also I lose this weight, I take on this weight, and that's a decent trade-off for me. And it's a lighter weight, smaller option. I can carry just this with that water bottle in it, and now I don't have to worry. I could even forego this whole other thing, and now I know the day pack and all that, and now I just have this pouch. So, just something to consider, and that's kind of situationally based, but being that my pack is designed for rapid movement and many miles a day, 4 seasons, I want to be able to, have a very streamlined system. So this really is the Mac Daddy as far as that goes, and yeah, it's a great system. I really enjoy it. For my water, it's huge. My uncle does have trouble sometimes drinking on the trail. You should never drink on the trail. Drink water on the trail, and so that definitely fixes that issue. Going to the pouch, this has my first aid in it. It has an emergency fire starter. It has a stove in case I'm not in a no fire zone. It has my mug that can be my sole cooking pot, although I do generally carry a secondary pot so I can have tea at the same time. What a snob, I know. I do have a bit of a little fish hook here that is just, it's in there. It's not coming out. Obviously hook side in with the barb. I would have to probably cut it out or really yank on it to get it out of there. but this guarantees me some food in a adverse situation where I need to fish. So I think for what it is and what it can get you, the absolute minimal weight that it is high. It is rather a very, it's something you want to put a fish hook somewhere on your kit, because you never know, you might need it, and it'll definitely it'll feed you well. Going inside of the pouch, we'll cover first aid first. So very small first aid pack. I believe this came with something I got from REI. It's the REI, it says Daylight First Aid Kit. I couldn't find just this pouch, so you might have to buy like a full first aid, and then this pouch comes in that. But however that works out, great little pouch. It carries everything I need. Mylar blanket off the top, so I just keep this wedged in there. Some of my tea tree oil leaked out a little bit, and it's caused a little discoloration and kind of started to wreck the plastic, but it's not a detriment, so I don't worry about it. Mylar blanket, super important, kind of last ditch situation, but it has a lot of other properties about it that make it worth carrying besides an insulating property, because I don't feel like it's really that great for that. It's better as a fire reflector or a tarp in a situation where you don't have a tarp or you don't have any kind of cover. This will provide you some sort of cover and heat based upon its reflective properties, reflecting either your body heat, hot rocks off the fire, or the fire itself. So definitely something to keep, just because it's a waterproof layer if you need it. It can help you warm or stay warm. It's not going to warm you up, but it will kind of stabilize, create a climate around you should you need something like that. In the top pouch here, probably the most first aid part of this whole situation, next to my antiseptics, are my gauze pads, and just a variety of sizes, but mostly just for containing blood and or heavy bleeding injuries, and a few different sizes and amounts to change out from time to time, although you can use excess clothing and such. But like with most of my kit, if that's where you are, that's what your situation is, you're heading out. You're not worried about changing your bandage for a week, or even longer period of time. You're leaving at that point. So this is enough to get you through, I'd say, a day or two of changing your wound if it's a constant bleeding, heavy bleed wound, which at that point you're probably needing stitches, and or you're probably stitching yourself plus dressing your wound. So definitely something to have first aid wise. Going into the next pouch, some water purification tablets. These will purify a gallon of water, 4 quarts. That to me is a day's worth of water. Like I said, if I'm getting into these, I'm getting out. So I don't need to carry more necessarily. If I'm going to be in this situation for days, well, I better know how to purify water another way, or I'm going to risk just straight up drinking it. But I'm going to try to prolong that if I can, and that's going to be water purification tablets. I carry some moleskin here just for blisters, hot spots, kind of things, or rather nicks and bumps or bruises that you want to keep a lid on. So this works really great for if you get like a planter's wart or some kind of corn or something on your foot, a blister or something of that sort, where you want to keep your sock off of it from the rubbing motion. Way back when, before I started to take care of my feet more appropriately like I do now, I used to get planter's warts all the time, and these do wonders. They take the pain away from your constant rubbing, and it really helps alleviate and ultimately flush out that ailment, although I highly suggest a pumice stone to work away those hard spots on your feet and just keep up on it. I use mine probably every other day. I'll just kind of go through and give my feet a quick scrub in all the callousy areas, and I probably have nicer feet than most of my exes. That was rude. Hopefully none of them are watching this. Moving on, we got a few Band-Aids. Like I said, Band-Aids, they're good. I don't have a lot of things in here that are like Band-Aids in the sense that it's, what's the real benefit of a Band-Aid? It's covering up a very small wound. It's going to contain minimal bleeding. I'd much rather, throw dirt and some pine sap on it or something, to just kind of clog it up. If it's real small, I'm not worried about putting a Band-Aid on it. There are times when a Band-Aid is nice, so I do pack a few of them. I don't foresee going nuts with them. And then I carry a few aspirin, or what is these? These are Aleve, I believe, just for pain management and anti-inflammatory. I think it's a good idea, even though I generally don't take aspirin or ibuprofen or anything like that. But in a situation where things are going awry and you may have a splitting headache because of some pain that you're in, or that you're so stressed out because you're in a bad place, that's a good way, to clarify or to clear up your your head and take care of that issue, which is a small issue, but it can be disorienting, and so you want to kind of make sure that you have that under control. Next is a triple antibiotic ointment, real small. I believe this is half an ounce, but this will disinfect a lot of, it'll take care of a lot of wounds. Definitely something you want to have. Infection equals death. You do not want to get infections. You want to keep your wounds clean and you want to keep them healthy. And I've always fared well with triple antibiotic ointment, so I always will carry it. And yeah, this actually has quite a bit of air now. I'm going to try to squeeze some of that out later. You got to think about space. It really helps you in the long run. Antiseptic towels, I keep 2 of them. Once again, just cleaning. I do carry a needle and thread kit. This, I'm not entirely sure where it came from, but it's nice. It's got a few needles in it. It's got some thread. It's got buttons. A singular buttons, plural, and it has a safety pin, but yeah, mostly just for sealing myself up in the need of, if I need it, sorry. Also, it could be for patching up kit gear and stuff like that. Always good to have a needle and thread. Here I carry tea tree oil in 2 gauze pads, or cotton pads. This is for what I use it for a lot. It works wonders for athlete's foot. It is antifungal, antibacterial. It's just an all-around good. It's calming. It's a very, very useful oil. A lot of good properties of it for first aid, and like I said, it takes care of athlete's foot in no time. I would say these 2 pads would deal with weeks of athlete's foot if that were the case. But if you apply it, say you started to get it, you apply it for 3 days, it should be gone. If it's not gone, keep applying it, and then figure something out, or just have athlete's foot, which would really suck. So yeah, but it's a good essential oil to have, and like I said, it has lots of good first aid properties. So I keep it there. Just be careful, as mine did leak. That's where some of this discoloration came from, and it kind of eats away at plastic a bit. But yeah, totally worth it. Just don't go crazy with it. I went a little crazy with it. It's in my nature. Okay, first aid kit. There you go. This with the tourniquet, I feel pretty good about most any situation. Could probably be better, but a lot of people carry a lot of things that they don't need. I try not to do that. Birch bark. It doesn't grow local for me, but it's an incredible fire starter, and if you can't get a tinder bundle or just that first spark catching base, this stuff will do that for you incredibly easily. It burns super hot. It'll burn wet. It's just awesome. I'm a huge fan of birch bark, and that pairs very well with my homemade emergency fire starters. I do have a video of this on my Instagram. it's really cool. It's just fat wood that I carved down, and then I wrapped in jute twine, dipped the whole thing in paraffin wax really fast, and yeah, I soaked one of these for 48, 50 hours, and pulled the cord, fluffed it up, split the fat wood a couple times after I did a few shavings into the bundle of jute twine, which was amazing. Jute twine will catch a spark off of anything. So yeah, and then split it probably 4 ways. I would split this one, and it'll give you about 5 minutes even I've gotten out of these, depending of course on how you process the fat wood, but roughly anywhere from 3, no less than 3. I've not had one burn less than 3 minutes to 5 minutes. And if you have even marginal tinder, that'll get you going. If you build your fire lay appropriately and you have your appropriate levels of stick size increasing, that'll take care of you. In the same category as fire is our ferro rod. This is the Scout by Light My Fire, Swedish Fire Steels, or Swedish Fire Steels I think it is, and Light My Fire sells them, something to that nature. But super nice. It's a soft compound, so I just have to give it a nice easy kick. I don't have to have the big rod and I'm pulling a hard compound rod against my knife. This is really soft and just a couple sparks there, and you should ignite your tinder very quickly with a ferrocerium rod. I believe the sparks are something around 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit, so that's really, really, really hot and should take care of you. Also, super convenient way. Waterproof, 100% waterproof, super strong, you're not going to break it. Yeah, definitely carry a ferro rod. If not, only just the one on the boot like we went over in the beginning of the series. General knife maintenance, it's a DC4 Fall Niven. See if you can see that, how to pronounce that. But yeah, DC4, it's a great stone. It is a, I believe, ceramic. It's a false sapphire ceramic, and then just a diamond steel. I believe the diamond steel on this one is 1,100, and this goes somewhere around 1,400 to 1,600, which is fine. I take my professional chef's knives down on a stone that's only 1,000, which is technically rough. But 1,000 degree or 1,000 grit stones will keep an edge on your knife that is plenty sharp and yeah, highly usable. Next, we have a battery pack that I carry just to keep my electronics charged up. It does pretty good. It came with my iPhone. I'm looking to upgrade this. But it's kind of hard to find something that's this small. It'll charge my phone twice, and that's pretty good. I shouldn't need more than that. So I keep wanting to put everything back, but that's not what we're doing here. We're going to talk about everything that we carry. So this is my Rite in the Rain pencil. Pretty self-explanatory. It's lasted me a long time. I haven't even touched the extra lead that's in there. So that just means I need to write more. It's a good idea to have a journal with you, something to keep track of what's going on in the event of an emergency. But if not, it's also good to write down your thoughts and to write down memories you had during the trip, so you can go back years later, and just be like, oh, that's right, I remember this. And yeah, definitely a good way to keep log of your life. Let's go into the top part here, which has gotten a little crazy. The lid for my Vargo mug sits in the top of this very well generally, and keeps back some other items. But yeah, Vargo titanium mug I carry. It's done me super well. I've just put this thing through hell in a handbasket, and it doesn't complain at all. It's warped a little bit. Titanium, I guess, is notorious for that, but I haven't had a problem really with it. Let's get this. Yeah, it's a little warped. It's well used. It's seen some fire. But yeah, great mug. 750 milliliter. So I can have plenty, like a good amount of tea. This full of rice, beans, and veggies or whatever is plenty of food. for dinner. Oatmeal is about halfway. Plenty of oatmeal. It's a good sized little mug. It's super lightweight. It's durable. It's one-handled jack right now. Does not have a second handle, but doesn't need it. It doesn't need it. It says I don't need that handle. Olight charging cord. Nothing too fancy. It's a nice little magnetic base there, so that's kind of fun. iPhone charging cord. Keep it small. You don't want to wrap a big one up because it'll just break the cord. This light is just coming right in wrong, but that is a-okay. I carry a little bit of tarred Mariner's line, tarred bank line. This is number 36 as far as the diameter. It's about 10 feet or so. Good stuff. Really strong. I use this a lot for my bow drill cordage. Yeah, I really do like it. It's got a little bit of a natural tackiness to it that helps it grip the spindle and all that. Yeah, enjoyable. Shoe goo. I'm on the fence. I don't know if I should be carrying this anymore. I never use it, but once again, it's like a lot of the things that I carry. If I didn't carry it and I needed it, I'd kind of want it. This patches up holes. It's malleable, so it's it's a liquid, so it gets into places, into crevices. If I need to patch a hole that's on a seam or something, this will do a really good job. And pairing this with duct tape on the other side for a patch is awesome, and it's really served me well under that application. But yeah, it's real strong glue, and I carry it because it's a good idea. It's a good idea. I keep telling myself that. Oh, one of the biggest things, okay, there we go. Put a line of this, light it on fire, there you go, you have a slow burning tinder for a little bit. So another assistant in fire making. Backup lighter, just a large size Bic, nothing fancy there, and I never use it, and I hope I don't have to. Fire permit, always carry your fire permit, be responsible. It's a good idea, it's always a good idea. Being responsible is cool, kids. Nobody tells you that, do they? This is the MSR Pocket Rocket. Just a real small little stove. No wind guard or anything, but you can fashion a wind guard fairly easy. It's done me very well. It boils my water really fast, and yeah, in case I'm in somewhere where I can't have fire, that is a good option. Fuel for it. Okay, so I put this in the bottom. I can put it in my mug there. But it goes in here, so I can carry 2 of these if, say, I'm on the PCT or something and I need to carry it for fuel for a few days. Not that this can't go for a few days, but what I mean is more like a couple weeks, 2 weeks or so. That should be enough fuel, 2 canisters. And then zip ties. I got duct tape and zip ties. What can't I fix? Not much. So zip ties are really in here as a means of convenience for, like, say, tying something together. Or fashioning, just attaching things really quickly. They can be used probably in more extreme cases, not quite as a tourniquet, but yeah, definitely something to think about. They don't weigh anything, so I do carry them because duct tape and zip ties really do, or rather are able to fix a lot of things. And then lastly, my tarp line goes in there. This is the Titan Survival cord. It's about 30 feet of it. And this is most of the time my tarp line, and it does me very well for that. But also, if I needed it, it has the fishing line in it, which this is plenty of fishing line, paired with our fishing hook. Now we have dinner, or rather, a convenient way to try to get dinner. But also, the jute twine in here, 30 feet of it is enough jute twine for birds' nests for a month if you have to light a fire every day. But if you get into a survival situation, you want to light a fire one time, and you want to keep that fire at least somewhat reignitable or ignited, as you don't want to have to try to relight it constantly, because eventually your gear will run out, and we don't want to see that. So yeah, this covers my utilities. This is, by the way, a Condor H2O pouch. It's very robust. It's done me very well. Condor fan, their pouches are nice. They hold up. Yeah, no problem with the zippers or anything like that. No problem with the buttons. Although one of my dump pouches, which actually was not a Condor, did have a button issue after it was left outside one evening, but yeah, anyway, not with this pouch. So this is my utilities / water kit. Let me know if you have any questions, any suggestions for things I could carry or why not to carry something. Definitely interested in that. Let me know what you think of the first aid. That's one thing I'm particularly on the fence about, but I feel pretty comfortable with it, so I'm interested to know what you think. So yeah, let me know, please. We'll come back with, we're getting to food, which I'm actually really excited about. Maybe that's the chef side of me, but once we get to food, I think you guys are going to be pretty excited about how, or rather what I eat and how I procure it. So for now though, enjoy. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something. And yeah, hit me up in the comments, subscribe, like, find me on Instagram. On the Instagram, or on the Instagram, I have the polio. My name on Instagram is the 8-Armed Chef. So check me out there too, please. And yeah, have a nice day. And I look forward to filming the next series for you. Take care.